Hey there, Internet Land. I'm Heather May, and it's time to learn you something on Nerdy Bits. Today we're going to be talking about the most popular alcoholic beverage on the planet, beer. And just because it's the most popular alcoholic beverage doesn't mean it's the most popular beverage overall. It actually comes in third place behind water and tea. Now, fermented beverages in general were discovered and or invented in the Neolithic around 10,000 to 9,500 BCE, and closely coincided with the first time that grains were cultivated. If you're going to be making beer, you need to take starches and break them down into sugars, and then you take those resulting sugars and then you ferment them. One of the most important ingredients in making beer is yeast. If you didn't have yeast, beer wouldn't even exist. Other ingredients that are needed to make beer really depended on where you lived in the world at the time. So if you were living in Africa, you would have used millet. If it was North America, there was persimmon. In Mexico, they used agave. In South America, it was corn. In Brazil, it was sweet potatoes. In Japan, it's rice. In China, it was wheat. In Russia, it's rye. And in Egypt, it's barley. Some of the oldest writings of beer can be discovered in Sumerian text. And one of them was actually a prayer to the goddess of beer, and it was actually a recipe. Then there's, of course, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and that was written around about 3000 to 2000 BCE. Today we make beer simply to drink it, to enjoy it, and it was made for that purpose back then, but it also had other reasons. It was used as payment for workers, and in Egypt there were over 100 different medical uses for it. The earliest beers drunk by Europeans were made with fruits, honeys, spices. They even put some narcotic plants in there. And hops weren't introduced into beer for flavor and preservation until about 800 to 1000 CE, or Common Era. And beer was typically kept on a small scale, either in the home or in the village, and didn't explode into the huge business it is today until the Industrial Revolution. So to make beer, you would need water, starch, yeast, and hops for flavoring, or whatever it is you want to use for flavoring, and a clarifying agent. Now, a clarifying agent is used to remove the protein solids that are left over from the fermentation process. And evidence has been found to show that back in the day, beer was drunk through reed straws to avoid these solids. So there are 6 different types of beers. There are pale ales, stouts, mild ales, wheat beers, lagers, and lambics. Now, lambics are different because they use wild yeast to make the product instead of cultivated yeasts. Now, if you don't want to go to the store and buy your own beer, you don't have to. You can make some at home. People were doing it for thousands of years. Why not you? You can go online, no problem, and find videos, blogs. You can buy kits online to be able to brew beer at home. That way you can have a hobby and you know what you're getting. You know what's in there. And some of the biggest sites out there would be like homebrewersassociation.org and beersmith.com. I personally wouldn't make beer at home, but that's mostly due to the fact that I don't even like beer. I'll stick with gin and scotch. You guys can drink your beer. That's fine by me. That was your nerdy bit for the week. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I hope you learned something new. Do like and subscribe, and if you didn't learn something new, well, subscribe anyway. I'll have something new next week. I'm Heather May. Bye, Internet.